The man who came back from prison was barely recognizable, but Barbara knew who he was. Although his white shirt camise was now gray and tattered, although his face was worn and pale, he was still her father. Barbara clung to him so tightly she had to be pulled away by Mrs. Williams so that her father could lie down. We, we found him on the ground outside the prison. One of the men who had brought him home said to Mrs. Williams. The Taliban released him, but he was unable to go anywhere on his own. He told us where he lived, so my friend and I put him on a Karachi and brought him here. Ravana was down on the threshold with her father clinging to him and weeping. She knew that the men stayed to tea, but it wasn't until they were getting up to leave to make it back to their homes before curfew that she remembered her manners. She got to her feet. Thank you for you bringing my father's back, she said. The man left. Barbara started to lie back down beside her father, but Mrs. Williams stopped her. Let him rest. There will be time to talk tomorrow. Barbara obeyed. But it took days for Mrs. Williams carefully nursing before father even started to get well. Most of the time he was too ill and ready to talk. He coughed a lot. That prison must have been cold and damp, Mrs. Williams said. Barbara helped her make a broth and fed it to her father hot off a spoon until he was able to sit up and eat. Now you are both my daughter and my son, father said when he was well enough to notice her new appearance. He rubbed his head over his cropped hair and smiled. Barbara made many trips to the water tap. Father had been bleeding badly, and the poultice bandages Mrs. Williams put over his wounds had to be changed and washed frequently. Homer helped too, mostly by keeping Mrs. Williams' granddaughter quiet so father could rest. Barbara didn't mind that he was unable to talk right away. She was overjoyed just to have him home. She spent her days earning money and her evenings helping Mrs. Williams. When her father felt better, she would read to him from his books. Homer knew some English from the study in school, and one day Barbara came home from work to hear Homer and father talking English to each other. Homer hesitated a lot, but father's words flowed smoothly into each other. Did you bring us home another educated woman today? Father asked, Barbara smiling. No, father, Barbara replied. I just brought home onions. For some reason, everyone thought that was funny. There was a laughter in Barbara's home for the first time since her father arrested. One thing in her life had been repaired. Her father was home now. Maybe the rest of the family would come back too. Barbara was filled with hope. In the market, she chased after customers just like the little boys did. Mrs. Williams suggested some medicine to her father, and Barbara worked and worked until she had earned the money to buy it. You seem to help. I feel like I'm working for something now. She told Shosa one day as they were around looking for customers. I'm working to get my family back. I'm working for something too, Shosa said. I'm working to get away from Afghanistan. What do you mean your family? Barbara asked. My grandfather has started to look for a husband for me. Shosa replied. I overheard him talking to my grandmother, he said. I shall get married soon. Then since I'm so young, I fetch a good bride price and they will have lots of money to live on. When your mother stop him, what will she do? She has to live with them. She has nowhere else to go. She'll stop working and look at her partner. I can't be married. I won't be married. How will your mother manage without you there? How will she eat? What can I do? Chelsea asked. The question coming out as well. If I stay here and get married, my life will be over. If I leave, maybe I have a chance. There must be some place in the world where I can live. I'm wrong to think like this. She with the tears from her face. What else can I do? Barbara didn't know how to comfort her friend. One day Mrs. Williams had a visitor, a member of the woman group who had just come out of Mazar. Barbara was at work when father told her about the visit that evening. A lot of people have left Mazar, she said. He said there are still refugee camps outside the city. Is that what mother is? It's possible. You know, unless we go to the camps and look. How can we do that? Are you well enough to travel? I will never be well enough, father said, but we should go anyway. When do we leave? Parvana asked. As soon as I can arrange transport. Can you carry a message for me to the men who brought me home from prison? I think with the help we can be on our way in a couple of weeks. Parvana had been wanting to ask her father something for a while. Why did the Taliban let you go? I don't know why they arrest me. How will I know when they let me go? Parvana will have to be satisfied with that for an answer. Her life was about to change again. She was surprised at how calm she felt. She decided it was because her father was back. We'll find them, Parvana said with comfortable confidence. We'll find them and bring them home. Mrs. Wira was going to Pakistan. Homa will come with me. We'll put her to work there. They was going to link up with the members of the woman group who were organizing Afghan women exile. Where will you stay? If I close in one of the camps, Mrs. Wira replied, she has been wanting me to come and live with her. Is there a school there? If there isn't, we'll start one. It is very difficult for Afghans in Afghanistan. There's a lot of work to do. Pravana had an idea. Take Shosha with you. Shosha, she wants to leave. She hesitated to him. Could she go with you? She could be your escort. Shosha has family here. Do you mean to say she will just leave her family? Desert the team just because the game is rough? Pravana said no more. In a way, Mrs. William was right. That was what Shosha was doing, but Shosha was also right. He shall have a right to seek out a better life. Ravana couldn't decide who has more right. A few days before they were to leave from Mazar, Ravana was sitting on her blanket in the marketplace when something hit her on the head. It was a tiny camel made of arbex. The window woman was still alive. She was all right at least well enough to let Ravana know she was still there. Ravana wanted to jump up and jump and dance. She wanted to yell and wave at the painted window. Instead, she sat quietly and tried to think of a way to say goodbye. She was almost home that afternoon when she thought of a way. Heading back to the market after lunch, she carefully dug up some wildflowers that were growing among the above our ruins. She had seen them growing there in other years, and how she was right in thinking they were the kind that grew year after year. If she planted the flowers in the spot where she usually put her blanket, the window woman would know she wasn't coming back. The flowers would be something pretty to look at. She hoped they would make a good present. In her spongy market, Bravana dug up the harmful first by pointing to it with her ankle. She used her hands too, as well as a rock she found near them. The men and boys in the market gathered around to watch her. Anything different was entertaining. Those flowers won't grow up in the soil, someone said. There are no nutrients in it. Even if they grow, they will be trampled. The market is not spot for flowers. Why are you planting them there? Then of the voice of the region came another voice. Do not of your precious nature. This boy has undertaken to bring a bit of beauty into our great marketplace. I will thank him. You help him. An old man pushed his way to the front of the little gathering. With difficulty, he knelt down to help Ravana plant the flowers. Afghans love beautiful things, he said, but we haven't seen so much ugliness. We sometimes forget how wonderful a thing like a flower is. He asked one of the chief boys hovering nearby for some water for the teashop. Fetched and he poured around the flowers, shaking the earth around them. The plants had wilted. They didn't stand up properly. Are they dead? Parvana asked. No, no, not dead. They may look struggling and dying now, he said. But the roots are good. When the time is right, the roots will support plants that are healthy and strong, making the earth a final path. Parvana and one of the others helped him up. He smiled once more at Parvana and then walked away. Parvana waited by her flowers until she crowd had gone. She had sure no one was watching. She looked at the window and waved a quick goodbye. She wasn't sure, but she thought she was someone way back. 2 days later, they were ready to leave. They were going to travel by truck, just as the rest of the family had done. I'm traveling as your son and your daughter, Parvana's father. You decided, he said. Either way, you will be my little Malali. Look at what here, Mrs. Woodya said. After making sure the coast was clear, she took several copies of Mother magazine out of under Borka. Isn't it beautiful? Parvana flipped through the magazine quickly before hiding it again. It's wonderful, she said. Tell your mother that copies are being sent out to women all over the world. She has helped to let the world know what happened in Afghanistan. Be sure to tell her that. What she did was very important, and tell her we need her back to work on the next issue. I'm telling her she gave Mrs. Wood a hug. Both Mrs. Wood and Homer were wearing burqas, but she could tell by hugging them who was who. It was time to leave. Suddenly, just as the truck was ready to pull out onto the road, Shorty appeared. You made it, Parvana said, calling her friend. Goodbye, Parvana, Shorty said. She had a Parvana bag of dry apricots. I'm leaving soon too. I met some numbers who will take me to Pakistan as a shepherd. I'm not waiting until the next spring. It will be too lonely here with you. Parvana didn't want to say goodbye. When we see each other again, she asked in a panic. How will we keep in touch? I'm going to figure it out, Joseph said. We'll meet again on the first day of spring 20 years from now. All right, where? The top of the Eiffel Tower in Paris. I told you I was going to France. Barbara laughed. I'll be there, she said. We won't say goodbye then. We'll just say so long for now. Until the next time, Chelsea said. Parvana held her friend on one last time. They climbed into the truck. They waved to each other as the truck rolled away. 20 years from now, Parvana thought was what happened in those 20 years. Will she still be in Afghanistan? Will Afghanistan finally have peace? Will she go back to school, have a job, be married? The future spread unknown down the road in front of her. Her mother was somewhere ahead with her sisters and her brother, but what else they will find. Parvana had no idea. Whatever it was, she felt ready for it. She even found herself looking forward to it. Parvana settled back in the truck beside her father. She popped a dried apricot into her mouth and rolling sweetness around on her tongue. Through the dusty front windshield, she could see Mount Parvana, the snow on its peak sparkling to the sun. Others not. Afghanistan is a small country that lies between Europe and Asia. It contains mountain ranges, fast-flowing rivers, and golden deserts. In fertile valleys, one produces an abundance of fruit, wheat, and vegetables. Through history, explorers and traders have passed through Afghanistan and tried to control it for their own interest. The country has been more or less continuously at war since 1978, when American-backed fighters opposed the Soviet-supported government. In 1980, the Soviet Union invaded Afghanistan, and the war escalated in the United States backing against Afghan freedom fighters, many of whom were warlords. The fighting was fierce, cruel, and prolonged. After the Soviets were defeated in 1989, a civil war erupted. A various groups fought for control of the country. Millions of Afghans became refugees, and some still live in huge camps in Pakistan, Iran, and Russia. Many people have spent their whole lives in these camps, and millions of Afghans have been killed, maimed, or blinded. The Taliban militia, one of the groups that the US and Pakistan once fought, trained, and armed to control the capital city of Kabul in September 1996. They imposed extremely restrictive laws on girls and women. Schools for girls were closed down. Women were no longer allowed to hold strict dress codes were enforced. Books were banned, television smashed, and using a uniform was forbidden. In the fall of 2001, Al Qaeda, a terrorist group based in Afghanistan and protected by the Taliban, launched attacks on the Pentagon and the World Trade Center in New York City. In response, the United States led a coalition of nations into bombing Afghanistan and drove the Taliban from power. Nations were held, a new government and constitution were set up. A number of schools for boys and girls were opened, and some parts of the country women were allowed back into the workforce. However, Afghanistan is far from being a nation of peace for many reasons. The Taliban have returned to fight a very effective guerrilla war against the government and foreign forces. Afghanistan has become a major producer of opium from which Iran is made. There is a great deal of corruption in all levels of government. Finally, Afghans, like people around the world, are uncomfortable with foreign forces fighting the country. The struggle for women's rights continues as well, with girls' schooling being banned and women activities being assassinated. There is no easy answer for the people of Afghanistan as they face such a difficult situation. Learning more about the beautiful, tragic country and its wonderful people is one small way to try to avoid the many mistakes that science have made that have brought Afghans to this difficult time in their history.